When I left school, I started my first side hustle business, and in the space of a few months to a year, I was a millionaire.
Well, that is where our future lies, Rodney. Second-hand motors. This time next year, we'll be millionaires.
In actual fact, it's extremely hard to start a business, so I'm going to show you 4 businesses for you to sort of avoid and to be made aware of before starting. The next one is going to be starting an e-commerce business. Now, a lot of people when they first start e-commerce think that it's nothing more than creating a nice looking landing page, get some nice tailored ads with a nice product, and then it's nothing more than a return on ad spend. We spend £1 on ads and we get £4 back in revenue for our business, and we just sit back, relax and wait for the money to roll in. In actual fact, it doesn't work like that at all. You'll find that a lot of e-commerce sectors, you'll spend more than the profit you make on acquiring that first customer, which means if you're reliant on third-party platforms like Amazon, Etsy, eBay, you're never going to get those repeat customers, because on those platforms people are searching for that website. They're Etsy's customers, they're Amazon's customers, they're eBay's customers, they're not yours, and you will not be able to retain that data so that you can resell to those people. Something you will learn when starting e-commerce is that the most expensive acquisition is going to be that initial customer, and that realistically we need to follow up on those customers to get them to keep buying from us, to get them to know our brand. That is where the value is in building e-commerce. Big thing that I have within our Airbnb business, I acquire email addresses and phone numbers of everyone that has ever stayed with me. We have anywhere between 150 and maybe 250 customers that come to us a month. I retain all of that information, and in 3 years, 5 years time, 10 years time, that data is going to be extremely valuable, because we'll make our business more stable and we'll have a database that is valuable to our business. The next one is going to be day trading. Now, I personally don't think that this is a real business. A real business has employees, it has a culture within its business, and it has a general ethos of how they envision the business going forward. And a lot of people that do day trading, they just have a small amount of money, they want a maximum leverage, and then they want to make as much money as they possibly can on the small amount of money that they make. Does it sound like anything familiar? This isn't really a business, in my opinion, and I feel like it has short-term results. I don't know anyone that's managed to do this long-term. The only time you see people sort of, when they're on YouTube and they're showing how great it was, oftentimes these people are selling courses and selling their information that they know to other people. That, in my opinion, is how they are building their business. So I would really stay away from this business altogether, because in my opinion, it's not a real business. The third business is going to be a property business. Now, have you heard of the term safe as houses? A lot of people think when they're starting a property business that it's nothing more than you need massive amounts of money. You buy somewhere that's often close to where you live, you rent it out to a nice family, and then you never hear from them again, and then the capital appreciation looks after you in the long run. In actual fact, it's a lot harder than this. A lot of people don't understand the fact that you are having the responsibility to maintain a property and to look after the customers, which are the tenants, that are inside of that property. And sometimes those customers and tenants can be extremely challenging people to work with. Now, that's not to say that property is the worst business to get into, or it's a really bad business, but it is something that you have to know what you're doing when it comes to it. Big thing when it comes to the money side of things is you have to be aware that a lot of people in property are very asset rich and cash poor. Why? Because they believe in the model. They believe in property as a business, and so they put all of their money invested into that. Now, if you've often got a lot of mortgages on those properties, you can find you run into a position where you end up over leveraged, and you can find that if interest rates go up, a bit of a tough situation. So you do have to be very careful when getting into property. Fantastic business, but just make sure that you have the right team around you and that you have the information needed to make wise decisions. Fourth and final one is going to be low barrier to entry businesses. Now, what do I mean by a low barrier to entry business? These are the businesses that typically you'll find online, where they're like, online coaches, that have freelance videographers or video editors. Maybe you have VAs, that are either overseas or in person. Anything where it's really heavily reliant around one person and one person's time, information and knowledge about that industry that you're employing. Big thing that you need to be aware of with these businesses is it's very, very hard to employ people within those businesses. You'll find that the value comes from you. These are what tend to be called lifestyle businesses, meaning that you get to work on the terms that you are happy with, and oftentimes you're getting paid a lot more for your time than you would do working for somewhere else, but you're not really building any long-term value within those businesses. So another thing you have to factor in now, especially with the internet, that you're competing with a lot of people from overseas which maybe have different or lower lifestyle requirements than you have, and to which they can charge a lot more and can outcompete you. Now, a big thing if you are wanting to get involved in this business is you need to make sure that the information that you are selling or the information that you know is of quite high tier. So an example of this may be you're an experienced wedding photographer. Even though this business is very busy, a lot of people will pay that extra amount of money to get those right photos for their wedding. Another thing might be an online coach. So if you're a very experienced online coach, and you can back up with lots of results that you have within that industry, that's going to be a lot easier than it is, for example, a virtual assistant. So be wary on making sure that you try and increase that barrier to entry if you can through knowledge and information. Ultimately, in my opinion, one of the best businesses that you can start in this day and age is an Airbnb business. Reason being is it's very easily to scale. You're in one place selling to many because you own a property, many people are coming into you. Yes, you're relying on other people's platforms, but a big thing that makes Airbnb different to the other third-party platforms that I mentioned is you retain all of that customer data for people that stay with you, which means you can use that to grow your business. If you want to learn about how to start an Airbnb, you can click the link below and join the free Airbnb Mastery Academy. Inside of that, we're going to teach you how to do things like create a business plan around Airbnb, find good areas that perform very well, and estimate setup costs so you can find if the business is right. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe.